Module 3, Video 1, The Crazy 8. So your beliefs plus your behaviors equals your bank account. I'm going to show you this in another way. I call this the Crazy 8. So your beliefs, let's say they start here, are going to affect your behaviors. And your behaviors are going to affect your bank account. Now let me give you an example. And don't worry if you can't read this, I have chicken scratch anyway. So let's say you believe that you are not good at money and you don't deserve to make money. Well, that belief is going to affect your behavior. You know, maybe you get an opportunity to go to an interview and let's say you miss it, you sleep in, your alarm clock doesn't go off. Or let's say you go to the interview but you do a terrible job. Well, obviously that behavior of not going to the interview or sabotaging your success is going to affect your bank account. If you don't get the job or you don't get the sale, let's say if you have a business, your bank account is going to go down. But if you change your belief and you say, from this course, I'm going to choose my beliefs. And my new belief is that I deserve money. And let's say every morning you wake up and say, I deserve money. I deserve to be rich. I deserve to be wealthy. And you say it over and over again. You train your brain to believe it. And then you get an opportunity to go to a job interview. You might nail that interview and get the job. Your beliefs are going to affect your behaviors. Now, let's think of a behavior. You don't have to start with beliefs. You start with a behavior. Let me use a behavior like you don't track your money. So you're not looking at your money. Now, in my opinion, if you don't look at your money, your bank account is going down. At least in comparison to if you were looking at it, which would help it go up. Now, if you are behaving where you don't look at your money, how does that affect your beliefs? We could go this way, and your beliefs might be, well, I'm not good at managing money. See, I don't look at it, or it causes anxiety. And obviously, if you're not looking at your money, I think it's obvious, if you don't look at your money and you believe that you're not good at money, that's going to affect your bank account. So it goes in this way. It could go either way, this way or that way. It goes into Crazy 8 and it continues to affect each other. Now what's really empowering is this, that if you change any one of these, it will change your bank account. It has to. Now let's imagine you change your behavior. Maybe you're saying, oh, well, I don't know, I can't change my beliefs. Hopefully you're not, because that's a terrible belief that's not going to serve you. But let's assume you say, you know what, I'm going to start by changing my behavior. And I'm going to do what Robin said, and I'm going to track my money mask. How much you make, how much you spend, and how much you keep. So let's say you end up keeping, you track this month after month, and at first you see that you're going negative. Well, first of all, if you start tracking it, you're going negative, that might affect your belief. You might say, oh man, I'm really screwing this up. But if you weren't tracking it before, you were probably doing even worse before. Because you're paying attention to it, you're going to shift your behaviors. Maybe you'll spend less. Maybe you will go out and bust your butt to make more because you know that you're going in the hole every month. So if you shift that behavior, now you start looking at your money and you see the changes, and let's just say after a month, your bank account goes up by $1. You never tracked your money before, and now you're tracking your money. You see that you keep $1. Your bank account went up. That's gonna affect your belief. Now you're like, I can do this. I will do this. I must do this. This is definitely possible. Because remember, progress equals success. And by the way, I see this with my clients all the time. When I start working with them, they're not tracking their money. Now, sometimes they're doing extremely well, maybe making $500,000 a year. And you might be thinking, oh no, wow, if someone makes $500,000 a year, they're so lucky, they have all this money, they're totally wealthy. Well, not necessarily. These particular clients were still completely in the rat race. Even though they made a lot of money, they spent a lot of money as well. So don't judge it. It is what it is, but the fact is that they were in the rat race, not saving very much, and they were definitely behind as far as retirement and the things that they want goes. But they started tracking their money, and they started seeing the behavior, like recognizing, wow, I'm spending a lot of money on shopping and clothes. And then because of that, they saw, what, and we make all this money, and my bank account is basically staying the same. They weren't going down, but it was staying the same. They were barely getting by. So by tracking it, they started to shift their behaviors, spending less. Believe, hey, not only I can do this, but I must do this. My kids need me. I can't just spend every penny that I have. As your behaviors change, your beliefs change, your bank account changes. Now, I'll give you an example of me. So I used to read a menu from right to left. Here's a menu. What's on the right side? The price, right? So I would look at the price. Let's just say there was something for 12, 15, 18, 20, 22. If you can't read this exact, don't worry about it. I'm just using it for me mostly. But I would look at the menu and I would say, well, what can I get for 12 bucks? Whatever was cheapest, I would look at that first. Now, maybe it was just like a salad or something. I'm not saying I would always get whatever was the cheapest on the menu, but I would always consider the value. And I would go through it in my head and say, well, hey, do I want to spend an extra $3 for, let's say, salmon or chicken, probably not salmon, chicken in the salad? No, it's not really worth it. Or yes, I need the protein because I'm not going to be home for 5 hours. I'd go through this whole thing in my head. It was pretty ridiculous. And I'm not saying it's bad. And this is really important. I'm not saying it's bad. What I want you to do is start to notice your beliefs and your behaviors. This particular behavior I noticed because it was causing me so much anxiety. I told you that at the beginning in Module 1 that I went to restaurants with friends and I would get totally anxious because I was worried about splitting the bill. So it was affecting my emotions, and it was affecting also the people around me, and like I was just thinking there's no reason I want to do this anymore. So how does this relate to the crazy 8? Remember? My behavior was that I look at the price first. Now, what must someone believe? What would someone believe if they look at the price first? You could just guess. In my case, I believe that there was not enough, that I didn't have enough and I would never have enough. And because of that belief, I had this behavior of just always penny pinching and looking at the number and being cheap, not just frugal. And that affected my bank account. Now, question is, how does that affect my bank account? Does it go up or does it go down? Well, I would say it's hard to say, and here's why. You might say, well, your bank account would go up logically because you're saving, so you have more in your bank account, right? So you keep more of it. But here's what I would argue. And this is why this is so important, just to recognize your beliefs and behaviors and then see, I'm going to show you in a second what you do with it, but see how it's serving you or holding you back. So even though I was saving by not spending a lot of money, I realized that I was really living in a lot of scarcity instead of abundance. And having a scarce mentality and always worrying about the price and living in those emotions, like the negative emotions like I told you about, was definitely holding me back in my life. So I want you to go through these questions and just pick either a belief or behavior. I don't care right now, just pick one, a belief or behavior. And I want you just to answer the question, how is it serving me? So I'll ask it like this. So whatever your belief is, write it down, or whatever your behavior is. In my case, my behavior was, I look at the price first and I save as much as I can. Got it. How is that serving me? Well, I was saving. I wasn't spending money on things I didn't value. So that's great. That was serving me. So I want you to appreciate your beliefs and behaviors. I want you to appreciate it because there's a reason that you run that pattern. And if you make it wrong, it's not going to serve you. It's not going to help you. You want to first recognize that it actually is serving you and not judge yourself, accept yourself, not say, oh, I'm so stupid because I go to the mall all the time and spend all this money I don't have on clothes. No, don't judge yourself. Instead, ask yourself, get incredulous. How is this serving me? Well, I feel good when I go to the mall and spend a lot of money. And oftentimes I spend money on other people and that makes them feel good. Or it makes me look good because I buy nice clothes. There's something it's serving you. It makes you feel good in the moment. That's enough. But then answer the question of how is it holding me back? Because it's holding you back. Every belief and behavior is holding you back to some degree, especially if you want to raise the bar and set a high standard. So in my case, it was holding me back because like I said, I was having a ton of anxiety. That's big. And I was actually teaching money parenting at the time. I still teach it, but this was like in the thick of it when I was going all the time speaking. And money parenting is how to raise financially responsible kids by leading by example. I was teaching this and still running the pattern of, oh, save a buck, save a buck, save a buck. And I realized that I was impacting my daughter in a negative way by being scarce, by having scarcity all the time, especially when it came to money. And when I want to teach abundance, but I was not, even though I was saying things, I was showing something different. And that was not only holding me back as a mom, but it was holding my family back, holding my daughter back, because I am imprinting those values on her most likely. So right now, I want you to write down a belief or a behavior and just answer these questions. How is it serving you? Go ahead, write it down. And how is it holding you back? And be so honest and truthful about this, because you know it's also holding you back in some way. And then write down, what can you do to change it to serve you to a higher level or at the highest level? Because it doesn't take a huge shift. All I did in my case, I started to go to restaurants and I said 3 times a month when I eat out, I'm gonna go in there, look at the menu and cover the right side and just order what I want. Because that is gonna create more abundance. Less focus on the price, more focus on just having fun with my family, being present, and not worrying about how much things cost. And I did it. And that was the first step I had to take to have more abundance in my life. So write down what you need to do. Maybe if you shop too much or spend too much money on things, maybe you just go and do, I actually teach this in my money parenting course. I teach what you do with your kids, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna give you something you can do yourself. If you shop too much, you spend too much money, go to the mall, wherever you like to shop, and instead of buying it right away, take a picture. Take a picture of it, then bring it home, look at it, and look through your photos, see all the things you would have bought if you were just being impulsive like you usually are, and then say, you know what, these are the few things that I really want to buy that are really important to me. That's one thing you can do to change it. Every once in a while, go to the mall, make a small shift, and start spending less money. So, great job. I will see you in the next video where I'm going to talk about examining your beliefs.